Good evening, everyone. Happy Saturday. How's everybody's Saturday going? How's everybody's weekend going? Hopefully, you're all having a great Saturday. Hopefully, you're all enjoying your weekend. We are in the final few weeks of 2025. Hopefully, y'all are having a great month, great year, great day, great weekend. What is going on, folks? What is going on? Shout out to the folks in the chat. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. What is going on, folks? What is up? What is up? What is up? So, it was a little bit of a news today involving the New York Yankees. They have brought back Amed Rosario on a 1-year deal worth $2.5 million. Obviously, I don't know about you all, but let me know in the chat what you all think about the move. But this was a guy that I wanted the Yankees to bring back, no doubt. He's the perfect bench player, right-handed bat, right? Brian Cashman did talk about wanting to, have a better balance between left-handed bats and right-handed bats. The Yankees lineup, as you know, in 2025 was very, very heavy on left-handed bats. And there was no doubt that they needed to, bring some right-handed bats. And I think Rosario is going to be, they'll better utilize him during the 2026 season. So, we did get to see a small sample size of him when he was traded for at the deadline. We know he hits lefty pitching really well, which is something that the Yankees desperately need because the Yankees, when it came to, going up against lefty pitching on opposing teams, the team was terrible. And Rosario did bring some sort of spark to the team when the Yankees needed some a bat of some sort to hit lefty pitching well, and Rosario does that really well, right? Amed Rosario, again, hits right-handed pitching very well. His OPS last season against left-handed pitching was .819, which is awesome, right? It was awesome. I don't think there was really I don't think there was a Yankee bat that came close to that. Maybe I'd have to look it up, but it might have been Paul Goldschmidt because we know Paul Goldschmidt hit lefty pitching really well. But I think bringing back Rosario was a good move. Again, it was a 1-year deal, $2.5 million deal. It's not expensive. I know it's not the most attractive move in the world, but clearly the Yankees still have a lot of work to do. So that can't be the only piece. That can't be the only move that they make. There's other moves that need to be made, no doubt about it. So again, happy with Rosario. He'll platoon with Ryan McMahon, and Ryan McMahon, I know his bat isn't exactly the greatest. And I know he's working on a lot of things this offseason with his bat. If Ryan McMahon's bat could come around, and we know what his glove brings to third base. I mean, he's great defender at third. If his bat could improve, I think you're going to have a good 1-2 punch there with McMahon and Rosario. And McMahon's OPS against right-handed pitching last season was .739. So he hits right-handed pitching really well, just not so much left-handed pitching. The problem with McMahon is just, a lot of hit it, swing and miss stuff. So he does not see pitches really well. Again, hopefully he does improve on that this upcoming season. So let's see what happens there. And the other thing too is, last year third base was a weak area. It was absolutely weak. I mean, they went into the season with with Oswald Peraza, who unfortunately just didn't work out for the Yankees, right? I mean, eventually he got traded, and they had Jazz there for a little while. Although I never want to see Jazz Chisholm Jr. play third base. I'm not saying he's a bad third baseman, but it's just not his position. They did have Oswaldo Cabrera, who wasn't bad. He was actually contributing right before his injury, unfortunately. But still, the Yankees needed a legitimate third baseman. So that's when they did trade for Ryan McMahon. They did trade for Rosario, but now you have that good lefty righty bat on the roster, and again, it's better than what they had last season. You had Peraza, you had a few of the other names. You had York Vivas, who the Yankees had called up. He didn't exactly work out either. So going into the 2026 season, you have a better duo now. You have better options at third. So you know, let's see how it plays out, right? Let's see how it plays out at third. But I like third base is a lot stronger, especially with McMahon defensively, and then Rosario, you have a better bat, a right-handed bat, no less, that hits lefties really well. Now, you know how it goes during the offseason. There's always a lot of chatter. There's always a lot of rumors, a lot of clickbait. We've talked about this. There was reports saying that the Yankees were not interested in Imai and Tatsuya Imai, that they weren't going to pursue Tatsuya Imai. Keep in mind, he is represented by Scott Boras, and Scott Boras did recently come out and say that him and Cashman have talked about several of his clients. Obviously, Tatsuya Imai is one of them. Cody Bellinger is the other, right? Along with any of the other clients that Boras represents. So a couple of Japanese media outlets have confirmed, right, according to Fireside Yankees, they have confirmed that the Yankees are pursuing Tatsuya Imai, and as they should. I know myself, and I know many fans, I know other content creators have been talking about Tatsuya Imai for quite some time. And, starting pitching is an area of need for the Yankees. There's no doubt about that. So they do need a lot of help in the pitching. So, let's see where those talks go. I hope the Yankees are able to sign this guy. I know he's, let's see what the asking price is going to be. He'd be a good addition to the rotation. And the Yankees need to just get back into the Japanese market. They need to start being a little bit more active in the Japanese market, because as of right now, it's all Dodgers, right? It's all Los Angeles Dodgers. The Yankees need to, start getting their foot back into the Japanese market again. Hopefully they can accomplish that, by signing a guy like Tatsuya Imai. Obviously they are pursuing other names. I know they've been linked to other names. Freddie Peralta is one of them. They could be looking to sign back Michael King, bring him back to the Yankees, reunite with Michael King. He's another option. They're also linked with Sandy Alcantara. He was another name that the Yankees were linked to. The Yankees were linked to him at the deadline. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I want the Yankees to go out, pursue Tatsuya Imai. I think he'll be a great addition to the rotation. And once again, the Yankees need it. They're not going to have Garrett Cole to start the season. They're not going to have Carlos Rodon to start the season. Clark Schmidt, he's not going to come back till the second half of the season. So, you don't want the Yankees to come out to start off rough in the month of April and struggle, right? And you definitely don't want that in the month of May. So April and May are going to be rough, right? April and May are going to be rough. So, the Yankees need, a guy like Imai to help boost that rotation. And let's see what goes down. If it's not Imai, they need to pivot quickly. They need to get somebody else. And I know it's been an awfully quiet offseason so far. I know the winter meetings, the Yankees didn't do anything. I get it, but this offseason, it's been a slow one, right? It's been a really slow one. It's just the asking price from a lot of the agents, a lot of the players is just very high, and a lot of teams are not willing to go that route. So at some point, I mean, both sides are going to have to meet in the middle somewhere, right? This always happens, right? Every offseason, agents and players they ask for the moon, right? They ask for the world, and general managers, organizations, they're always going to come with a different price point, right? So at some point, it's like this is where the negotiations begin, and this is where GMs generally do their best work. And, I'm pretty sure Brian Cashman is trying to cook something up, right? I know he's trying to cook something up. I know, I put out a short the other day saying that apparently what Brian Cashman is asking from teams is not really favored. It's not really liked. But however, what are other teams asking from the Yankees? What are they asking for from Brian Cashman? Because the Yankee tax, I don't care what anybody says, the Yankee tax is real, and other teams are always going to fleece the Yankees. And it's like myself and Hector talked about, who was on with me a couple of days ago. Shout out to Hector from Uptown Sports. You could love Brian Cashman, you could hate Brian Cashman, but you can't deny the fact that when he's firm on his offer, and when it comes to standing his ground, he doesn't budge. He doesn't budge, and that's something I could appreciate from Cashman. Love him or hate him. I know not all of his moves have been the greatest. I know there's been, there's always going to be criticism about Brian Cashman, but one thing I do give him credit on is he does stand his ground, and he doesn't budge. He doesn't cave in. He wants to make sure that he's protecting the organization, protecting the players, and protecting the team's future. Basically, the Yankees. Even though they may not be rebuilding, the Yankees are not really a team that necessarily rebuilds. They're always in a win now mode. That's New York Yankees, right? That's the New York Yankees way. It's win now. It's not let's plan. You're always planning, right? You always want to plan, but you're not trying to. But the pursuit every single season is to go to the World Series and win the World Series. Which, yes, I know the Yankees haven't done it in a long time, but hopefully that drought ends, sooner rather than later. But it's going to be also easier said than done. But real quick, I know I've been ranting for over 10 minutes, and I appreciate you all letting me rant. Again, load up the comments. Let me know what you all are thinking. Let me say what's up to the chat. Let's see who we got in the building. Jonathan, what is up, man? First person in the building, what is going on? Paranormal in the Funhouse, what's going on? Cecilia, what's going on? How we doing? Daniel Berry, what is up? Chia, shout out to my man Ace, and shout out to my man Ace, who's been a member of the Strike Zone for 14 months. You're the man, bro. Thank you so much. What up, Ace? How's it going? Who else we got in the building? Brad's in the building. Who else? Keith is in the building. What do we got? Joseph is in the building. What's up, Joseph? Davey Hamadani's in the building. What's going on? Who else we have in the building? We have Sherry in the building. What's up, Sherry? I know it's been a nice off season for the Blue Jays. Let me know what you're thinking. Who else we got? The Imai rumors were false. Which rumors? Jake's in the building. He says, I don't think they're going to get Bellinger and Imai. It's going to be the same freaking team as last year. Well, we don't know that yet. We'll find out soon enough. And Furnace, what's up, man? How's it going? Shout out to Furnace, man. It's been a little while. He's still hitting up the boxing gym. Do you have any fights or anything like that? Let me know, man. What's going on, Furnace? Good to see you. Susan, what's up? How's it going? Says, I'd be shocked if we got Bellinger and Imai. Hal is doing a whole lot of nothing. Well, I know it's been quiet, but it's kind of got to wonder too how much the payroll is going to be, how much Hal Steinbrenner is willing to let Cashman spend. That's the big question right there. I'm not familiar with this username, but hello, how are you? They're saying, who would have thought the Yankees would have gotten to the point where they could not compete financially when now the billionaire owners or the hedge fund finance club like the Dodgers. I mean, nobody could really compete with the Dodgers as far as ownership goes. That's been discussed many times. So you're owned by, when you're owned by Guggenheim, no ownership comes close to Guggenheim. So Yankee Kyle, what is up? John, what is up? Who else we got in the building? What do we got? Michael, what's up, Michael? Michael Osborne's in the building. Dev is in the building. Um, Katie, what's up, Katie? How are you? What's going on? Good to see you all. Appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate everybody being here. I got over 50 people in the building. Let's get those likes up. Let's get those likes up. Let's try to get over 50 likes if we can. Would greatly appreciate it. But the window, yeah. So the window for Imai is going to be, I believe it's January 4th, if I'm not mistaken, or it's January 2nd. It's so we have a January 2nd. Thank you, Jonathan. That's what I thought it was. It was either January 2nd or January 4th. So that's when his window closes. So a little less than a month. So we're talking about, what is that? Just a few weeks, right? So there's still plenty of time. Um, I was I did read that he was supposed to meet with teams after the winter meetings. I think that was the game plan. So I don't know if the Yankees set up a meeting with him yet. But Yankees are definitely going to be one of them, and along with other teams that are also pursuing him as well. And Jake says, remember Joel Schumann and other insights that the Yankees only have room for one more big contract. Well, yeah, they're probably going to sign one big name to a contract, whoever that is. I mean, at this point, is it Cody Bellinger? Is it Kyle Tucker? Apparently the Yankees are still, showing interest in Kyle Tucker. They did talk with his agent, Casey Close. So, is Kyle Tucker, is he a guy that's still in play? We don't, we'll see what happens. And, Polanco going to the Mets. Therese says, yeah, but I put out a short on that earlier. Personally, look, I would have loved if the Yankees were to pursue Polanco. I mean, that was a guy I talked about last year as well. But I think it was a bit of an overpay for Polanco, in my opinion. A 2-year, $40 million deal. I think it was a bit of an overpay. Let me know what you all think, but I think it was too much, in my opinion. Jonathan sharing some Twitter news here, or X news, says several teams, including the Mets, Padres, and Pirates, have expressed interest in Luis Robert Jr. Wouldn't surprise me. His name has been mentioned a lot. Luis Robert Jr. as a potential trade candidate. I know he I don't know if the Yankees were ever in on him, but he was a name that was mentioned amongst Yankees fans, but probably not a name, personally not a name that I would want, but that's just me. 3 weeks for Imai, Murakami, and Okamoto have less than 2 weeks. Yeah, I remember Murakami and Okamoto. Yeah, they had less time. They have less time. So, you're not hearing a lot about Murakami. I mean, you heard some stuff about Okamoto. Sounds like there's several teams interested in him, but Murakami doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of attention about him. I know he was heavily talked about a lot last year, but this year though, I don't feel like his name is being mentioned as much. But you're obviously hearing a lot about Imai. You're hearing about Okamoto. What are these guys? What's going to happen with these guys, right? I think ultimately a team will sign him. Which teams are going to be at this point, we don't know. But we'll find out soon enough. And yes, Hayden, I did see that article about Jojo Romero. That's a name that I've mentioned. I would love for the Yankees to go after Jojo Romero, obviously, along with Brandon Donovan. I mean, those are the two guys that I would love for the Yankees to get from St. Louis. If it's not both, at least one of them. I'd be happy with one of them. Honestly, I probably would be more happy if they got Brandon Donovan. I'd be much more happier if they got Brandon Donovan. Bellinger, Martin, Imai. That should be the goal if they're not in on Tucker. That we're getting Belly plus another contact bat. Well, that's what I'm saying. So for me, it'd be Bellinger and Brandon Donovan. They're not going to be in the market for Marte. And if they get Marte, where are you going to play him, right? And then they're going to have to trade Jazz, and which apparently Cashman was listening on offers from Jazz Chisholm Jr. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but apparently teams have been checking in with the Yankees concerning Jazz Chisholm. But if you get Marte, great, but you got to find a way to trade Jazz. No, he's not. The Padres, apparently they came out a couple days ago, said that Fernando Tatis Jr. is not available in a trade. He's not being shopped. The Padres never even came out and said that he was available. Again, this was something that Michael Kay suggested on his show. He was suggesting that the Yankees should look into a guy like Tatis Jr. and trade for him, but it doesn't seem like it doesn't. But the Padres never said he was available. So, and the Padres shut that. They shut it down a few days ago. They said he's not available. They have other guys that they're making available, right? Mason Miller, Nick Pivetta, just to name a couple of guys. They're making those guys available because they are in need of pitching, but they have So guys like Tatis Jr. is not available. There's other guys that they are making available. We'll see what happens from there. Yankees interest. It is now certain that the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, this was what I was talking about. So the Yankee, a couple of Japanese outlets have confirmed that the Yankees are fully interested in Tatsuya Imai. There's no doubt that they're going to try and pursue him along with other teams that are interested. So I hope that the Yankees do end up getting this guy. They need it. They need him for sure. Well, what's the asking price though? That's the question, because again, this offseason it's been really quiet. If guys like Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, these guys are still free agents. I mean, you expected these guys to sign with a team during the winter meetings, but it sounds like whichever teams were in contact concerning when it comes to Tucker and Bellinger, what are these guys asking for? Now we do know with Bellinger, he's him and Scott Boras are asking for 7 years, right? The Yankees are willing to offer 5, and I can't blame the Yankees for that. I'm not personally. It's like I said a few days ago. I'm not giving Cody Bellinger 7 years. There's no way I'm giving Cody Bellinger 7 years. I'll give him 5. I mean, if it's gonna be 6, then 6 years. That 6 year, make it a mutual option. Make it a mutual option. I'm definitely not giving him 7 years. And Kyle Tucker, I know apparently, right, the news was saying that there were teams that were willing to offer him a shorter term contract with a higher AAV, but we know that that's probably not what he wants. I mean, a guy like Kyle Tucker is going to definitely try and pursue a longer term contract, which you can't blame him, right? You can't blame him. Players are looking for that job security. And I know those long-term contracts don't necessarily age well, especially as players get older. I mean, I get that, but what you're paying for their prime years, you're paying for their good years, right? So you're hoping to get the best out of them. And I know a lot of times these big contracts don't necessarily age well, but it comes with territory, unfortunately, But yeah, the Yankees are interested in a lot of players. I mean, no doubt. They're always going to be interested in a lot of players. There's always interest, right? They're always going to do their due diligence. They're always going to do the due diligence. They're going to check in on everybody, right? Everybody who's available, just to whether or not they're interested, whether or not they are going to, whether or not the Yankees do want to bring them on. They're always going to check in. It's just something that every GM is going to do. Yankees have an offer on Tucker. I did read something about that, but I wonder what the offer is though. That's what I'm curious about. I wonder, if the Yankees did make an offer for Kyle Tucker, what was the offer? Apparently, the Blue Jays. I read that the Blue Jays are trying to go are willing to offer $400 million for Kyle Tucker, which doesn't surprise me. I remember when I brought up Kyle Tucker and him and Kyle Tucker potentially, getting a $400 million contract. Folks thought I was crazy, but I think I don't think it's crazy at all. I don't think it should be a surprise at all. I mean, after seeing some of the contracts that have been given out, I mean, Tucker getting $400 million, I don't think it should come as a surprise, really. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he gets 400 or a little or 400 plus. But we'll be on the lookout. What up, Bronx Junior Lab? Nah, you're good, man. I didn't see that you were spamming, but you're all good. Mystic MMA is in the building. What's up, Mystic MMA? Says, with Baltimore bringing in Pete Alonso, you may as well take the year off and come back in 2027. The division's over. Well, not going to exactly do that. And 2027, who knows if there's going to be baseball. So 5-year deal for Bichette and trade Chisholm. I mean, listen, I'd be all for Bichette. I honestly would be all for Bo Bichette. I mean, his bat's going to be better. His bat is definitely going to be better than Anthony Volpe's. I know his defense isn't exactly the greatest. I get that, but his bat is definitely going to be a big upgrade, no doubt. Well, that's why you add players on top of that. In addition to Cody Bellinger, you're not gonna just bring Bellinger. There's other players that you gotta bring back. I'm not saying that the Yankees are going to go out and sign every single free agent out there, but but Bellinger can't be the only addition. So, there's other players that they need to bring back. And getting back to this, I'd be down for Bichette. I don't know what his market looks like. 5 years probably wouldn't be bad. I'm pretty sure he's going to try and ask for more than 5. I mean, he is a little bit young. He is a little bit younger. And as far as trading Jazz Chisholm Jr., I'm all for trading Jazz Chisholm Jr. I know a lot of folks are hung up on the offensive numbers, which I'm not saying that they're bad. Yes, he is a 30-30 guy, had a high OPS. I mean, WRC plus, all those numbers look great for Jazz, but in the right deal, in the right package, I wouldn't mind trading Jazz Chisholm Jr., especially knowing that he is going to be a free agent after the 2026 season. I don't see a world where the Yankees bring him back, really. I don't see a world where the Yankees extend him. But if you're going to trade Jazz, I want him to be traded for good pitching. That's what I want. That's what I want for Jazz. I think I want him. I want if you're going to trade Jazz Chisholm Jr., trade him for good pitch, trade him for some good quality pitching, because some good bullpen arms is my thought process, right? So, well, that's the question. So, I mean, why hasn't he signed for 400? But for how many years? If that report is even true. Bronx Junior Lab says, let Belly walk and get Tucker. Here's the, you know what? If Bellinger and Boris are going to make the process difficult, I would say to Yankees, you know what? Yankees, move on. If you want to go sign Kyle Tucker. Go sign Kyle Tucker. I mean, at the right price, or pursue other options. Don't waste any time. You're there to build a team. But if and I like Cody Bellinger. I do like Cody Bellinger, but and he was a big contributor to the team last year. Yeah, he was. But again, I don't think he's deserving of a 7-year deal. I don't know what kind of money is being discussed with Bellinger. Personally, and I've said this before, I think he's deserving of $27.5 to $28 million. I don't think he deserves any more than that. $30 million a season. If they're insistent on $30 million a season, I would tell the Yankees to say see you later. Well, good luck to you. Coach Carl, what's up? Says Bichette's going to get a 7-year deal. That's more or less what I'm thinking for Bo. That's what I'm thinking for Bo. Honestly, I think he'll get a 7-year deal. I got to go shopping. Oh, appreciate you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you popping in. None of them are worth over three years. Who are we talking about here, John? Jake says, I believe they're also going to go dumpster diving. I think if anything, they're going to re-sign Bellinger and then try to 8-holes instead of getting actual players. Well, yeah, Bellinger's going to be Bellinger's their goal, right? They're still in talks with Bellinger and Boris. I mean, no doubt there. But again, if they're so gun ho on 7 years, I'm telling the Yankees, take a walk, dude. Just move on. Go pursue somebody else. Who else we got? Tucker costs too much. Get Kwan instead because Kwan is greater than Belly. I mean, Belly could play, but here's the thing about Belly. I like the fact that he could play anywhere in the outfield. You could put him at first base. So he does bring that versatility. I like Stephen Kwan, but if you're bringing in Stephen Kwan, then what happens with Dominguez? What happens with Spencer Jones? I know there's a lot of fans that are split when it comes to guys like, when it comes to Dominguez and Spencer Jones. One of those guys is getting traded then. And we know we know a lot of fans are pissed off about Dominguez's name being mentioned as part of a trade piece. Yeah, Toronto's making moves. Toronto's definitely making moves. I think they're going to be hungry to get back into the World Series and trying to win it in 2026. Although, unfortunately, I do see the Dodgers three-peating here. Unless if something crazy happens, but I can see the Dodgers three-peat pulling off a three-peat. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Any of the Boris agents? So you're talking Cody Bellinger, you're talking Bregman. Pete Alonso did get 5 years. He was looking for 7, but no team was going to give him 7. There was no way that was going to happen. So, Uncle Ted, what's up, man? He says, "Come Kang back home and sung all day." I don't know what that means, but cool. Gallen, 3 for 55 is a steal. Talking about Zach Gallen. I don't understand, as Cashman said, there are a lot of right-handed bats available. Bregman and Bichette are both available and would help this team a lot. But I guess, I'm not. Bregman is not worth $40 million a season. And I'm not really sure why Alex Bregman even opted out of his contract with the Red Sox. I thought that was stupid. Again, I would welcome Bo, but it's just a matter of money and years. Like what's his market looking like? Hayden says, if I'm the Yankees, I'm going to go up to Tucker's agent, say how much do you want, then go back to Boris and Bellinger, ask one final offer. If they say no, move on to talks for Tucker. I wouldn't argue. I would not argue with that. I wouldn't argue with that one bit. Michael says, all I can say is Yankees are not getting a lot of my time this coming summer. Crap, Baboon went out run a Burger King. Yeah, they would be. They would be a perfect platoon, but there's also a world where I could see one of those guys getting traded, especially if the Yankees bring back Bellinger, or Tucker or somebody else. How about Dominguez or Jones get traded? Both Dominguez or Jones get traded for the right price. I see one of those guys being traded, though. Personally, I don't know. I don't know about both. But if you trade them both, you gotta, I'm not going to just trade them just to trade them. But I would say one of those guys gets traded, honestly. So we're fans of the sport, man. We hope something different happens. What are we at? Oh, Korean players. Got it. Okay. I'm not. I'll be honest. Like I'm not the most familiar when it comes to Korean players. Yeah, he was owed 80 million for 2 years, but he opted out. He had an opt out for the 2026 season, and he opted out. Why he did that, I don't know. That was ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, he's not worth $40 million. I'm sorry, but he's not. I hate to break the news. He's not worth as much as Aaron Judge. Mystic MMA says seats for 210 million is a lot. I would have done that, but with that contract that will be given out, I wouldn't be surprised. Right. I think I'm not saying Dylan Cease is a bad pitcher, but I think 210 million was a bit of an overpay. That's my thought. Yankees were 2 right-handed a couple years later, and the 2 left-handed. Gee, I wonder who funny, right? But yeah, they need to have that better. They need to have that balance in the lineup, man. It's like there's no doubt about it. If I'm the Yankees, I'd probably go 10 years, maybe 320 million for Tucker if he doesn't take it, move on. Yeah, look, listen, I wouldn't argue with 32 million, but if we're like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 400 million, but I think he's that 32 million I think is reasonable for him, but at the end of the day, I think he gets like 35 to 38 million for AAV. Bichette or Bregman or Seager. Like I said, if the Yankees were to get Bo, you wouldn't hear me complain. Bregman, nope, I don't want Bregman. I'm good. Corey Seager, I wanted Corey Seager when he was a free agent. I wanted the Yankees to sign him. I mean, I know there was some chatter about the Yankees and Corey Seager that the Texas Rangers are making him available, but the problem is Seager, what is he, like 31 years old? He's still owed a lot of money. He would still be an immediate upgrade over Volpe, no doubt about it. However, he's been very injury prone. Last few seasons he's been missing a lot of games. Do we want that for the Yankees? Do we want another player on the Yankees to miss a lot of games? I don't know about you all. I don't want that. But I like Seager. I do. But if the Yankees were to get him, I wanted him when he was a free agent. But that was the time to get him. So Tucker will get 10 years, 360. It's a good prediction. 36 million AAB. Not bad. So what will happen after the lockout? We already think the price is crazy. Yeah, well, it's only going to get worse. So Uncle Ted giving us some information about some Korean players here. Kang Bak Ho for the outfield. Thanks, Avilo. Plays first in outfield. 26 years old. It's not bad. Actually, that's some pretty decent numbers right there. Is he available though? I mean, is he made available? What's up, Jack? Good to see you, man. Mr. Snow says, well, including it after deferrals. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I know he had those deferrals. I think we're talking about Bichette here, or not Bichette, Dylan Cease. But at the end of the day, that contract is still going to be worth $210 million. One way or another, he's getting paid that money. But I get what you're saying. Let's go. Donovan, yeah, that's one guy I want. Tucker is going to end up in San Francisco. That's some fans have been talking about Tucker going to San Francisco. They've been talking about the San Francisco Giants being that that dark horse potentially. So it's a possibility. I mean, I think for a guy like Tucker or really most players, they're gonna go to the team that offers them the most money, honestly. So wouldn't it's a possibility. Has to deal with the issue of the ultra-rich clubs with huge pools of corporate billions. The multimillionaire owners like Hal will not be able to compete in that marketplace. No, and Hal is not the richest owner. He's not. I think there was a list that came out. I think he was like number 23 on that list of richest owners. And he may have made the comments that he made when he made an appearance on Zoom during the Zoom meeting, but they still, he still goes out there, tries to spend a lot of money. I mean, maybe they've been, yes, they've been striking out a lot. So Zach Neto, I would love Neto, but the Angels ain't giving him up, and that's going to cost you plenty, I think. Excuse me. Tucker to the Jays would push them past Dodgers. How bad did they want it? I mean, they have the money. The ownership has the money. I don't know if they'll come close to the Dodgers payroll, but if they were to sign Kyle Tucker, I mean, their payroll would be the second highest after the Dodgers. Oh, there is going to be a $1 billion deal. There will be. This was something I talked about last year, especially after that Soto contract. I'm like, there's going to be a contract one day that's going to be worth $1 billion, and I wonder what player is going to get that, and that's going to be insane. Okay, both those guys are posted. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. The Dodgers want them? Yeah, doesn't surprise me. They could do it. Mr. Snow is asking me, I know you're a Yanks fan, but how do you feel about the Jays have done so far? I mean, the Jays are making some good moves, man. I think they're making the right moves. You can tell that they're hungry. They want to get back to the World Series, and they want to make up for what they should have won. What, in my opinion, they should have won. I felt like the World Series was in their hands, but and it was just the small things that the Dodgers did that eventually led them to going back to back. So, but I think the Blue Jays, again, I think they made a few good moves this offseason. I don't think their job is done personally, but they're hungry. My opinions, here's my opinion. I've been saying this. I think they need to trade for Kyle or for Brandon Donovan. They need a good contact bat in that lineup. I wouldn't mind if they bring back Cody Bellinger. I'm all for bringing back Cody Bellinger. I like Cody Bellinger. But if they're going to make the process difficult, then pursue other options. Then see what Kyle Tucker's market looks like. If it's not Kyle Tucker, then see what options are out there in a trade. Okay. I want Tatsuya Imai. If for some reason the Yankees cannot get Tatsuya Imai, then see about Freddie Peralta. See if what's Peralta's market looking like. The one guy that I wouldn't mind them getting would be Edwin Cabrera from the Marlins, the starting pitcher, but that's going to be really difficult. I'd be down for Alcantara, but I'm not the most keen on him. I know he had a good second half of the season. It was very encouraging, but if there was a starting pitcher, I'd rather them get Cabrera than Alcantara. But Jojo Romero for the bullpen, right? I would love for the Yankees to trade for Jojo Romero or even an Andrew Nardi from the Marlins. They certainly need improvement in the bullpen. Well, the best young players already locked up. I don't know if the guy to get the first $1 billion is in the league currently. Not currently. I don't think they're in the league currently. Now we're still a little bit of ways away from that. I really do. We're not close. We're not close. Let's be honest. Hal doesn't want to spend, so we were doomed to get leftovers or nothing at all. Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll see. We'll see what moves go down because I despise it. Well, Cashman's contract is up after 2026. Let's see what happens, and depending on how the season plays out, could be Boone's last season. I mean, Boone is signed through 2027, but that could also change. Pass on Framber Valdez personally. I'm not really one for Framber Valdez. That's just me though. And it's just like Brock's Junior Lab said, Valdez is a good idea, but there are some better names out there. I think so too. I'm not really wanting the Yankees to go after Framber, but once again, that's just my opinion, right? That's just me. Harrison Bader. Nah, I like Bader. I love the energy that he brought to the team. I love, I loved that he, provided a spark. I mean, there was things that I liked about him, but when he was with the Yankees, though, the guy was too injury prone. The guy was getting hurt too much. I would pass on Bader. I would pass on Bader right now. The Yankees need to figure out. Is it Bellinger? Is it somebody else? Right. That's what they need to figure out, and then figure out the fourth outfielder situation, because you got Grisham for another year. Then the Yankees are going to be back to another scenario. To the same scenario where they're gonna, who's going to be in their outfield. So, and also it's worth mentioning too. I mean, after the 2028 season, I mean, Yankees are going to have some money coming off the books here in the next couple of years. So, that could be when the Yankees spend big. But that still remains to be seen. That's a little long ways away, but we'll worry about that later. Chris Bassett on a 1-year deal. I don't know. I'm not. He wouldn't. He's not an option. I wouldn't have minded him a couple of years ago, or even with Chris Bassett. But on a 1-year deal, I'm not. I wouldn't want. I'm not going to tell the Yankees to absolutely go after this guy, but he'd be a good fill-in. But at the end of the day, ultimately, I want him. I want Imai. If it's not Imai, then trade for Peralta. Freddie Peralta. If there's a guy I really want, if we're being realistic, if we're being real here, Paul Skeens, but we all know that's not going to happen. That's a pipe dream, but Paul Skeens would be awesome. But yeah. But no, look, at the end of the day, Yankees still have to make a lot of moves. I mean, there are other teams in the AL East that are making moves. That big one with Pete Alonso signing with the Orioles, that's a big one. That's a big one. So, the AL East, man, the AL East is trying to make a name for themselves again. Like Cadiza, Imai is somebody I want. I want Imai. If it's not Imai, then you go trade for Peralta. I wouldn't mind either one of those guys, but Imai is priority number one. Jojo Romero for the bullpen. I would love for the Yankees to go after Jojo Romero, trade for him. You could look at Andrew Nardi from the Marlins. The starting pitcher Cabrera. Honestly, from the Marlins, I wouldn't mind him, but that's going to cost the Yankees a lot, and I don't think he would be made available. But Imai is priority number one for sure as far as pitching goes. Yeah, I mean, so he does have a club option for 2028, but I think the Yankees are going to decline that, and there's a $10 million buyout involved with that. So what AAV do I see for Imai? Honestly, Nosebleed, and what's up, Nosebleed? Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see you, man. It's always nice to see you. When it comes to his AAV, I'm just trying to think of the other pitchers. I mean, personally, I think 23 to 25 AAV I think would be good for Imai. Would I be surprised if it's a little bit higher? No, I wouldn't be surprised. But personally, I would like to see 23 to 25, but I could see that AAV being a little higher. Stanton option is for 2029. Let me check that there, Brad. I think it's 2028. I'm actually looking it up right now. Now it says club option for 2028. He's a free agent in 2029. So assuming that the Yankees don't have to exercise his club option. So if they don't exercise his club option, then he'd be a free agent in 2028. Should they decline it? Are you scared that the Yanks can't compete with the Jays this season? I mean, I'm scared that the Yanks, it's not just the Jays. I'm saying the Yankees. I'd be scared if the Yankees can't compete at all. I mean, not just the Jays. I mean, the AL East is always a bloodbath, no matter what. Padres are making Miller available, go in, but I think he's going to be a Met. You think he'll be a Met? It's possible. They're not going to trade him to the Dodgers, that's for sure. That's too much. We already have two pitchers over 20 million AAV. But you look at the market though, right? You look at the market. You've seen what these starting pitchers are getting paid. Like look at Dylan Cease. And again, I know with the deferrals, his contract is 180 million, but ultimately it's 210 million. I think. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Imai gets 23 to 25. I don't know if maybe it's too much, but I'm just trying to think of the market. Unfortunately, you got to overpay for players. Not you have to, but at some point if it's somebody you want, you have to. There's going to be a little bit of an overpay. Yandy Diaz, potentially, but I don't. The Yankees don't go that route. Yeah, I know the Marlins pay part of that contract. I get that. Well, I understand. How many more bench bats do you think the Yankees should pursue after the Rosario deal? Well, they got Rosario. They're going to have, Dominguez or Jones. It's going to be one of those guys is going to be another bench piece. There's going to be a catcher, right? Oswaldo Cabrera should be coming back. That's 4 right there. Is there what other bench bats? I'm trying to think. I'd have to think about that. Can't believe the Mets let go of Alonso and Diaz. It's not that the Mets let him go. I mean, those guys ultimately made their decision. It was their decision they were free agents, and they didn't. It's not. Yeah, they were free agents. It's not like they just let him go. The Dodgers made a better deal for Diaz, and the Orioles made a better deal for Alonso, and that's all she wrote. I want Imai, but don't think they will get another high value starter. Time will tell there, Nosebleed, but they whether it's Imai or whether it's Imai or whether it's another starter, they need a starting pitching. They need another starting pitcher. Biggest winner and loser this offseason so far. I'm gonna say the Dodgers. They got their guy in Edwin Diaz. And I got to give a little credit. I got to give some credit to the Orioles, man. I didn't expect them to get Pete Alonso, but they did. Got to give some love to the Blue Jays. Losers, I mean, the Mets, because they're really their only addition. I mean, their only additions have been Devin Williams, Jorge Polanco. Remember, even though the Yankees had some same record as the Jays, the Yankees' record was deceptive as they could not beat the really good teams. No, I'm aware of that, but there was also a lot of fans who doubted the Yankees during the 2025 season, saying that the Yankees weren't going to make the postseason at all, and they were going to win 78 games. They were going to be a 4th place team. this team wasn't going anywhere, but they proved a lot. They proved many people wrong. Um, the Blue Jays were the better team, no doubt about it. I mean, clearly they were the better team. So you know, but there was a lot of fans that gave the Yankees very little to zero doubt that they were going to make the postseason. Yeah, no, it's a $10 million buyout. Well, he's a good clubhouse guy. I mean, he's got good energy. Again, like I talked about at the beginning of the show, he hits right-handed bat or left-handed pitching really well. I mean, that's something that the Yankees desperately need because Yankees, when it came to left-handed pitching, they sucked big time. Cole comes back this year. Yeah, Garrett Cole will be back. Yankees' biggest loser tied with Mets. Cole be back by June, but it'll probably take some time. Yeah, no, but I mean he's been ramping up though. I mean he's been working in the off season. It wouldn't surprise me if he tries to come back in May, but I don't want him getting rushed. When you're coming back from Tommy John, just you know, uh, take the time with it. Don't rush. Do I think the Baltimore Orioles are going to be a wild card team this year? Possibly. They still need help with pitching. If there's an area of need for the Baltimore Orioles, it is pitching. They are a little weak in that department. So I think they need to figure out their pitching situation. So could they be a wild card team? I think they could be a wild card team. Will they be a wild card team? Hard to say. I mean, we got to see how the season plays out. You'd rather trade Luis Hill than Will Warren? Uh, you're not going to hear an argument from me. I like them both, but Will Warren would be a bigger attraction in a trade. He would draw a little bit more interest, but yeah, if the Yankees were to get a guy like Imai or trade for a guy like Peralta, it would make it easier for Hill or Warren to get traded. Um, you could potentially move one of those guys to the bullpen, but if there's a guy to move to the bullpen, it'd probably be Luis Hill. Warren has actually. I know he's had some rocky starts, but he actually wasn't too bad if you look at his numbers and you compare that to Dylan Cease. Pull up those numbers. Well, either way, for the Orioles, they need pitching. Whether it's a little weak or it's garbage or weak at all, it's just they need help with pitching. The Baltimore Orioles, if they can figure that out, I think they'll be a team to watch out for. But right now, as far as the AL East goes, I mean, right now it's Blue Jays right now. They're the ones making a move, and looks like our friend Brad here sent a message here. This is a tweet put out by Robert Murray. Says that the Kansas City Royals are acquiring reliever Nick Mears in a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers, according to sources familiar with the deal. Thanks for sharing that. And it looks like Isaac Collins is the player going to the Royals. So not familiar, but thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I did see that, Brad. Kenley Jensen signing with Detroit. It's good move for Detroit. Good bullpen arm. Yeah, I mean that's a good addition to their bullpen. Good addition to their pitching. So Tigers are most definitely gonna be competitors next season. No, there's no doubt there. What's up, Jared? What's going on? Good to see you, Jared. But appreciate you all being here, though. I've been live for almost, pretty much an hour. So, and time flies when you're having fun. So I appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you all are smacking that like button. Hit that sub button if you're new and you're watching this for the first time. Appreciate everybody being here. Let's see how many likes I got. Cecilia's saying I'm almost at 50 likes. That's cool. I appreciate the likes. Where are we at? I'm going to check that real quick. I'm going to check the likes real quick. Where are we at for likes? My least favorite MLB team? So it looks like I'm at 46 likes. We need 4 more likes to 50. And I know we got over 50 people watching. My least favorite MLB team, probably, I don't know. It's a toss up. It's got to include. You got to say the Red Sox. You got to say I'm going to say the Red Sox, Mets. I mean, those are like easily my least favorite teams in Major League Baseball. It's like, sure, I could say the Dodgers, but I'm not going to say the Dodgers because I'm not hating on. I can't hate on what they're doing. So looks like the Brewers are acquiring left-handed pitcher Angel Zerpa for outfield, Isaac Collins and Nick Mears. So, all right. So a little trade there between the Brewers and the Royals. Good stuff. Yeah, so Yankees, Cubs, and the Phillies for Imai. Yeah, I mean, all three of those teams are in need of starting pitching, no doubt. I mean, do I think they're going to add a salary cap? And if so, do you want a salary cap? I don't think a salary cap is going to happen. The players' union will never agree to that. I don't think there's going to be a salary cap, and that's going to be a big discussion after the 2026 season. I don't think there's going to be a salary cap. Again, the players, the owners want it. There's a lot of owners that want it, but the players are never going to agree to it. I don't think that's going to happen. If a salary cap does happen in Major League Baseball, I'd be extremely surprised. I would be really, really surprised. Oh, snap. We got 50 likes. Let's go. Thank you all very much. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping the live stream get to 50 likes. The likes really does help out the live stream, especially with the YouTube algorithms, gets it out to more people. So, the more likes, the better. So, greatly appreciated. You think the Cubs are going to get Zach Gallen? Is that your prediction? Yeah, I don't know how much money they want to spend, honestly. The Cubs. So sorry, I just had to send something real quick. Does Beltran make the Hall of Fame this year? I mean, Jeff Kent did. I don't know. I think they'll probably for next year, right? I don't think so. I think ultimately, yeah, there is going to be a lockout. I also do think that there is going to be a lockout. Because the owners and players union, they're not going to be on an agreement on a salary cap. honestly, again, I do not. I don't foresee a salary cap going down in in Major League Baseball. I don't. And if yeah, the play like I said, the players are never going to agree to it. They won't. There's an okay chance that the Jays get Tucker and on a one and like a 1 or 2 year deal. So you're saying okay, the Jays getting Tucker, I would agree. I think they have a chance. But this last part you're saying a 1 or 2 year deal for Bo Bichette. Is that what you're saying for Bo for the Blue Jays and Bo Bichette? I don't see 1 or 2 years going down if that's what you're if I'm reading that right. Yeah, the players are not going to agree to it. The players are definitely not going to agree to it. There's no doubt there. But it might be a long off season, meaning that there won't be a baseball season. You're that's what a lockout is. When there's a CBA that's going to expire. It's a collective bargaining agreement that's going to expire next December next year, and one of the conversations is going to be about implementing a salary cap. And if both sides can't come to an agreement, there's probably going to be a lockout. So it could be for the entire season. It could be half the season. You may not get an entire season of baseball. You may not get a season at all. So, but that's next year. I'm right now. I'm worried about what the Yankees do in 2026. I'm worried about right now, as far as the 2026 season goes. Um, that's gonna that I'm more worried about the 2026 season and what the Yankees do then or do for 2026. Jared, I do have X. My my X handle is what you see on the bottom there, the strike zone 4. Yeah, Dustin May signed with the Cardinals. I did see that. Yeah, I want the Yankees to go after Jojo Romero. Love for that to happen. Bring him and Donovan. But if it's going to be one of them, personally, I'd rather them go after Donovan. I want them going after Brandon Donovan. But Tatsuya Imai, though, is the guy that I want as far as pitching goes. That is a priority. That is the guy that I want. Well, 2020 was because of COVID. 2019, was there a lockout in 2019? Didn't that go down in like 2022? I think there was a lockout. I think there was a lockout then. Yes, I did. Yeah, I put out a short on that on the Jays getting Tyler Rogers. Yes, I did see that. I haven't read the full report, but I hope you know. I hate reading those things. So sad. Blackburn, they're not going to bring back Blackburn back. And if they did, I don't know about 2.5 million. But yeah, but we'll see what goes down, folks. I mean, I know it's been a at least for the Yankees, it's been a pretty quiet off season. They excuse me, I don't know where that cough came from, but like I was saying, I know it's been a very quiet offseason for the Yankees. I know they didn't do anything at the winter meetings. Usually they make one big signing at the winter meetings. That didn't even go down, but I think the Yankees are approaching this offseason a lot differently. I think they're trying to be a little bit more careful, right? Whoever it is that they're pursuing, they want to make sure they're making the right deal. They want to make sure that they're protecting their assets or protecting the organization. So at the end of the day, they got to make moves. They got to make moves. You got to, they can't roll with the current squad that they have right now. And it's not it shouldn't just be a bring Cody Bellinger back or just sign Kyle Tucker. I mean, both of those guys would be great, right? Either one of those guys would be great, but there needs to be other moves that the Yankees absolutely have to make. There's no doubt there, but plenty of time left, right? Off season. We're in the off season, so plenty of time till spring training comes around. But hopefully, by the time spring training comes around, the Yankees have a strong roster, a strong squad going into spring training. So, all right, thanks for the follow, man, and I appreciate you being a subscriber here, Jared. Thank you. The Jays are approaching it like the Yanks in other seasons. Yeah, they're like I said, they're making some moves, but if anybody's making moves, man, and they're going to continue making moves. I mean, I foresee. I mean, it's the Dodgers really, but but now the Blue Jays they've been very active. They've definitely been very active. So. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here, folks. Again, I do appreciate you all joining me here on this Saturday night. Thank you to all the new subs. You guys and gals are the best. Let's make sure you all hit the like button on the way out if you haven't hit the like button. If you're watching this on the rerun, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new and you're watching. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's continue growing this channel. Keep sharing this channel out with everybody you know. Let's get some more subscribers in here, and hopefully I could go live and break some big and talk about the big news. If the Yankees make a big move, big signing, big trade, that we could go live and we could discuss, we could talk about it, and we could share the excitement together. So, but we'll talk soon again. Just be on the lookout. But I wanted to go live, especially after the Rosario signing and the news that's been coming out about Imai. So let's see what we hear in these next few weeks. So December is almost over. We're almost going into 2026. I mean, where will the Yankees be? Where will the Yankees be? That's the question now. Where will the Yankees be in the next couple of weeks? But hopefully it's good stuff. Hopefully it's good news. But thank you all very much again. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you all next time. And as always, let's go Yankees.